Little 68 best show. You know what? It is the best show. I'm gonna roll.
Bestest of the bets.
I'm rolling with the punches, baby. Best show. Hosted by BetRivers. We are the three-man weave. I'm Kai. I got Matt in the black hat. I got Jim in the home field hoodie. Home field rocks. That's a free advertisement for home field. Fellas, we got a really nice slate of games today. A little bit of a rarity lately with all the COVID pauses, the smaller slates, but this Tuesday, we got some huge matchups. I'm excited to talk about them. I know you guys are too. First, Jim Root. Any takeaways from yesterday? We had a few games, really small slate, but what do you think?
I'm concerned about Purdue's defense. That's my first takeaway. That has been a problem, and it was a problem last night. I mean, Wisconsin, it comes down to you need to stop Johnny Davis, and they let him have 37 of Wisconsin's 74 points. It was some individual excellence from Davis, but there was one key possession late where they just completely lost the best player on the floor.
Yeah,
can't do that. And then my other little takeaway, Matt, is Arizona was sloppy last night. It concerns me. They had 21 turnovers to Washington's 6. They still won by 16, so maybe I shouldn't be but I just, there's a little bit of vulnerability there to my Wildcats that are still near and dear to my heart.
Well, yeah, I think the Arizona just fell into the same trap that Maryland and Purdue did. The early conference games, they're catching teams coming in that they're probably not respecting. These large dogs early in conference, but I think have played very well so far. I think that was the common denominator across all three. Now in that game, Jim, that was the Terrell Brown revenge tour. I mean, I saw some of the highlights you were alluding to in the first half. I was like, oh, we have been terrible. This is like my Super Bowl tonight. I get to go to my old stomping grounds and remind the fine folks here at Tucson as to why they used to love me. I guess it
was the ultimate bag game. He was just like every kind of finish, every kind of pull up jumper, fadeaway floater. Like everything was going for him. Yeah. I
love when we're in that zone, Kai. It just brings back so many memes from our rec ball last season. Hey, to me, it was just the Big Ten road dogs. I'm very impressed with both Maryland and Wisconsin in general. I don't think I'm looking to take anything away from Purdue or Iowa in those two games. I was just very impressed. I think Maryland maybe has sort of a reinvigorated mindset now. I know we're not the biggest Danny Manning fans on this program, but they seem to play hard. They seem to not be checked out in like sort of a lame duck coach situation right now.
Yeah, Maryland was great. I was too scared to bet them. My number said bet them, Kai, and I said no, thank you, no, thank you. So
I love when that happens. Love when that happens. Yeah.
Hey, best bets guys went 1-0 yesterday because your guys' bets got canceled. So hooray! Thanks, Alabama A&M.
Nice job.
Added 1,000.
The dogs, baby.
Added 1,000. All right, let's get into the games today. Again, a lot of good ones to talk about. We're starting with Kentucky at LSU. Whew, it's a heavyweight matchup. Matthew, LSU. Dangerous team in general, but now they have their back against the wall. 0-1 in conference play. Kentucky's coming to town. They're back in the friendly confines of the Maravich Center. Matt, they're 8-0 against the spread at home, and they're taking money. Or they did. What do you think?
Yeah, Jim pointed out offline pre-show that I'm going against one of the narratives I like to cling to, which is an 0-1 conference team, especially at home, catching a hype spot against Kentucky that usually should play very well here for the Tigers. Still respect them after the clunker they laid against Auburn. I think that was more of a function of, holy cow, Auburn's like elite, not like, oh, LSU is a fraud. I don't think we're ready to write them off in that group yet. But, Jim, I love my Kentucky Wildcats. And I'm just going to tell you and the folks here, it's time to start putting them in the creme de la creme discussion. So you guys can wait to see more evidence. I've seen all I need to see. I mean, on this UK team, it's a point blank direct handicap for me. I like the Cats here.
Are you doing I didn't see the Notre Dame game. It didn't happen.
Yeah, right. Conveniently ignore the games that don't look good. It's part of handicapping, Jim. It's all arbitrary.
Smart. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Matt, my number kind of leans Kentucky, but I think matchup and spot favor LSU. So I'm not quite as gung-ho as you. I think LSU's defense, you have to hit jump shots against them. They're just too long and too disruptive inside the arc. And only Kellen Grady's really doing that for Kentucky. Ty's doing it a little bit, but they don't want to. They don't take many threes. It's a lot about getting inside, getting to the rim. It's tough to do against LSU. The one advantage, though, is Sheboy on the offensive glass is going to eat. And he does that every game. You can say that like a metronome, but against LSU, who is fairly undisciplined and wants to get out in transition, Sheboy is going to have a big game. So big time stay away from me, Kai, between the matchup and spot versus number.
Yeah, the Notre Dame game. That's Kentucky's only road game this year. I don't know how you can have too much confidence, Matt, in the Cats 0-1 on the road. I mean, they beat Mizzou and High Point last two games, and that's when you're starting to turn your attention to them. I know they beat UNC and Western Kentucky a lot too. I'm still a little bit wait and see. They look good, but they're playing the games I'm watching is High Point and Mizzou. I don't know if I can trust that quite yet. LSU at home is a different animal. Strangely, their offense is just okay this year. LSU, a lot better in transition. Should be a lot of running in general in this game. Maybe the total gets up there. I got nothing in this one. Excited to watch it. Next game, Kansas at Oklahoma State. Jim, maybe personnel issues for Oklahoma State hinted at there. First game since the 18th. 0 good wins on the resume. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous to get in front of Kansas right now. Start of conference play. Remy Martin should be back in there off his little knee injury. And then Oklahoma State hasn't played in quite a while. And Matt, I had this idea in my head that Boynton's been really good against Bill Self. I think because like his first season, he swept him. It was the first time Bill Self had ever been swept by someone in conference play. But since then, Kansas is 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread, Self against Boynton. So that narrative maybe not real. I kind of think Kansas is the right side here. They're starting Lightfoot, Matt, over McCormick. It's like a little change up in the front court.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Self had a lot of quotes about how he's just more efficient and that's all they need out of their big man. McCormick hasn't been bringing that. So that might actually help sneakily given how effective the two have been.
Yeah, McCormick's been a little bit herky-jerky this season. We've talked about how when you watch him, he has like this unsure of himself, happy feet that has sort of eroded his effectiveness, at least the explosion we saw last year during conference play. On the Poke side, they are getting Moussa Cisse back tonight, pretty key addition. But Boynton was up front in the preview content that he will not have all of his players available. So no word as to who could be out. But just another one of these COVID games where you get whiff of potential landmines with key guys. You want to stay away. And I have a Galgarina, the Gallagher Ibra. Is it Gallagher Ibra? Yeah, Gallagher Ibra can be a house of horse for some teams, but it has been for KU, as Jim mentioned. And I don't think it'll have the same electricity here at Jan 4th, still, I think, within the lulls of the winter break for students.
I fixed my microphone. Do I sound better now?
You do?
You
wow,
crisp.
crystal clear.
Love it.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Casey Keenan over here, man.
Hey, Kansas lost here last year, guys. Let's not forget they lost to Oklahoma State in this arena. I tend to think Oklahoma State's going to play well in the Big 12 because they are banned from the postseason. Big 12 is like their Super Bowl, man. They're going to try to win the league. That's all they have to play for this year. But it's a big talent advantage, it's a big rebounding advantage for Kansas. I'm not really interested in backing Oklahoma State here. Not really interested in fading Kansas either, or fading Oklahoma State at home in a get up spot in the Big 12. So I'm staying clear away here. Wish you guys luck if you're leaning one way or the other. Next one, Illinois at Minnesota, the barn. Both teams, Matt, have been off since the 22nd. Minnesota tends to do well in the barn. Illinois apparently had a bunch of COVID issues with some players. I think they're all going to be back, but still maybe a little bit of concern. Maybe not a whole lot of practice time for them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's three parallels on the board tonight between Illinois, Colorado State, and Duke. Feel free to call me out if I'm wrong there. I think all of those programs had the virus go pretty much through the entire team. Like if not everyone, 70%. Sounds like Illinois was one of those teams as well. But they should also have all of their dudes tonight. So it's kind of like how much are you putting stock in the disjointed practice thing here? I do worry that Minnesota, Jim, will have a game plan to shut down Kofi. I think Ben Johnson's been very creative in how he defends. He'll throw different looks. I just don't think they have the manpower. You know, you can throw all kinds of cute chess moves at Kofi, but Kofi is, as I call him, college Shaq, and you just can't do anything to stop him, I don't think, on a personnel basis. So I do lean Illinois here, Jim, at the barn.
Yeah, it's been bet up a little bit. I kind of lean towards punching back, Matt. I think the home court is big. I can't really draw up a matchup advantage for Minnesota. Like you said, like I can't sit here and look at the two personnels for this game and say, oh yeah, Minnesota can do X and Y, and that's going to be a big edge. You kind of have to choose between giving up 35 to Kofi and giving up a plethora of open jumpers to their 3-point shooters. I'm kind of thinking Johnson lets Kofi have to eat and forces him to finish over and over and make free throws. And then this is going to be a slow game. I think Minnesota is smart. They know this needs to be in the half court. They cannot run with Illinois. Kind of the way our stupid Mizzou Tigers tried to. When you're inferior talent-wise, don't run with them. So one of my two best bets today actually is the under 140.5 on this one. I think Minnesota's focus on keeping the tempo down is going to be huge. So I like the under, despite the fact that Illinois can probably score fairly efficiently.
Yeah.
Sorry, bet up to 7. I did not notice that, Jim. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That is a little rich.
It did, man. That feels a little bit high. I don't care what Ben Johnson does. There's no answer for Kofi Cockburn. Minnesota lacks size at point blank. And Johnson, to his credit, has done very good things this year. He's been playing very smart. He's been confusing his opponents. Can't count Minnesota out, especially at the barn, but I think Kofi's going to eat. And like Jim said, if you focus on him too much, Illinois shooters are incredible this season. At 7 points, I'm leaning towards the Gophers at the barn, but not something I'm interested in taking in this one. Moving on. Big 12. Snap back to the Big 12. Texas at Kansas State. This line is zooming up, and away, Matt, towards Texas because Kansas State might be super shorthanded tonight. Heck, they were getting killed to Oklahoma that previous game until Mark Smith went Super Saiyan and put the team on his back. Are you worried about the Wildcats taking on Texas, even though they're at home?
Yes, I am. Unless your boy Mark Smith goes supernova again, like he did last game, just single-handedly keeping the Purple Kids. I don't think he will either because Texas defense is still a Chris Beard coach defense, and we've seen evidence of them coming back to that elite level, especially with Dylan Disu back in the mix, who is offering some offensive punch inside as well. Jim, I know we were discussed with some of the Texas efforts in the non-con. I think this is a game where they play really well. I don't really lay 8 points, a touchdown on the road, especially with a total of 123, but I would lean Texas even at the current price.
Yeah, I snuck in on the injury news and got the 6.5, thankfully, but hard to recommend 8 or 9. It's going to be a fairly slow game. I just don't know how Kansas State scores, man. Noel has been huge for them in terms of creating and breaking down defenses and forcing them to rotate. And they clearly missed him against Oklahoma. They sort of figured things out, but Oklahoma was really shorthanded too. So it's not like that was the full strength Sooners. I think against the Chris Beard defense, it really shows up, and Texas just suffocates them, even in Manhattan.
This offense is going to be bottled up. Yeah, their offense is terrible. And if you watch that game, Mark Smith, he's getting a lot of cheap buckets, a lot of just like crap buckets. Got sent to the line a lot. K-State didn't miss a free throw. I just don't think he's getting that against Texas, a bigger team. Dylan Disu should destroy K-State's big men, who are so soft. So terrible. And so
Bradford is confirmed out, I think.
Yeah, and he's not even good. And then his backup or guy who started for him was bad too. I'm leaning Texas in this game. Chat Mob, who's got it? Who's my man? Who's my side?
I
love it.
Down,
coin flip.
Jim, I actually had like I had like a twofer of the Patriot, I had a twofer of the Mac. Do you have such organization?
If you got a plan for it, you can take it.
I'm very excited about how I have this all set up right now. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have a 2 segments here of a twofer. We'll start with the Patriot League Kai, and then we're going to go Mac. That's the single A Maction. Bucknell Army, Boston Navy are the 2 showdowns. The troops, both of the ground and the sea variety, have been immense this non-conference, and Navy is just on a different planet right now, Kai. I'll go to you first here. They're hosting the Terriers today. Short spread. I think preseason we would have liked the Terriers here, but at this point, I respect Navy too much. I have nothing.
I respect Navy, but 3.5, 4 has me leaning towards BU. This was the team that was picked in the preseason to win the Patriot. They looked awesome early on in the non-con. Kind of had a scare though in their previous game against a much lesser opponent, Bucknell, I believe it was. Walter White, not the guy who cooks meth in Breaking Bad, but the player is back for BU. He came off the bench last game. Maybe he's more healthy. I lean towards the Terriers. Do you want my opinion on both Patriot games?
No, I don't really value your opinion. Okay, fine. I'm just kidding. Of course I value your opinion. I just want to get Jim's opinion. I know Jim has a stronger take on the Bucknell side, doesn't he?
He might, yeah.
I love that Matt thought he was clever with the setup of this outline. This is literally the order the questions were asked in. So,
I know, it's so nice. It's like the mobsters like categorized it for me. It was great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Hey, we've got all 3 troops in action today, and the third troops, the air troops, will be featured or that game will be featured in best bets later. So we'll get to that. But Matt, I like Bucknell going against the ground troops in this one. They nearly blew a big lead to a shorthanded Loyola Maryland team. And yes, they did build the lead, but I don't know. I think of the 3 troop squads, Army's the worst one. And Bucknell's looked a lot better than I thought, especially when Andre Screen plays, and he is playing. So Bucknell.
Yeah, Screen is everything for that team, it seems like. Let's go Maction now. Ball State, Kent State, Ohio, Akron, 2 short spread, basically coin flip games. I think I'm leaning the road team in both. I have a best bet in one of these two.
It's like, are you going to give it away right now? What are you doing?
Yeah, is that okay? I mean, do we always wait till the end? I think we give out best bets throughout the program. I was going to tease it a little bit here, Jim. Let me run this program right now. I'm going to you first. Ball State, Kent State. I think two erratic teams. This seems like a live betting prime spot for me.
Ball State's more erratic, and a team I still don't trust fully. Kent State just beat Toledo, so that's all the ammo you need, man. You beat Toledo, you're okay in my book. I like Kent State here. Lean their way on the road, -2.
Yeah, Ball State's impressed me lately. I still think they're a little bit of a.
It's frustrating. They've gotten a
little frustrating team though
after being just brutal to start the year.
Jim, do you want to lay the foundation for my best bet of Ohio Akron?
I will say that I agree with everything Matt is about to say. I am on the same side as him. I watched the team that he is betting last game, and they looked pretty decent. And I think they'll look even better in this one. Matt, tell them who your best bet is.
Ohio. That's the non-state version, located in Athens. Going on the road, not a huge travel to Akron. Jeff Bowles, John Gross, I think coaching edge is on my side. You're catching 2 in a game where there probably shouldn't be much home. Honestly, the Bobcats have been a little bit sluggish the last part of non-conference play. It seems like they tend to play down to their competition sometimes at home. I think this is a game they're obviously hyper motivated for. Didn't play great against Western Michigan in their opener. I think they play much better. They beat an Akron team that could be down. Greg Tribble today, one of their best players. I'm still kind of in fraud alert with Akron. I know they play Ohio State close. I know they've had some good efforts lately, but not buying it. I like Ohio U with the points.
You think Tribble played last game? Do you mean Brian Trimble?
Yeah, the fact that they have a Tribble or Trimble isn't fair.
Trimble, that is not fair for me. That's a disaster for me. One of those T's is dicey today.
I think Brian Trimble matters more than Greg Tribble, so that's more important.
He does.
Graham Haynes also mentioned the total in this game. I do lean towards the over. I think it does feel a hair low. Ohio wants to run, and I think Akron will run with them a little bit. So I like the over.
Matt, any other chat mobs?
Yeah, we have an ACC one. I know we have one coming up on the outline. Florida State, Wake Forest. We'll get to that in a second. But NC State, Virginia Tech. I think we all saw this line and thought, "Wow, that high, really?" But man, NC State hasn't really given us a ton of evidence to prove that they should be getting more respect. Jim, going to you here first. Are you looking to fade the Hokies off of the COVID mini pause shutdown, whatever we're calling it now?
Yeah, not like aggressively, but NC State getting double digits as a road dog against a team that might not be that sharp. I had to lean that way. I think NC State can drive. Their slashing ways should work against a relatively unathletic perimeter for Virginia Tech. So lean towards NC State, but they, like you said, they've been frustrating outside of Terquavian Smith's half-court heave.
Yeah, which was phenomenal. Right. Thank you, Turk. I'm on the Wolfpack here. I'm worried that Aluma and Mutz could have like 40 combined because NC State's front line is brittle and young, and they just have not held up inside. So I do worry that's a pretty big matchup concern. But still, trust the price. I'm on the pack. Kai, I'm taking it to you here for our last one before we archive the rest for the second segment. Long Beach State at Cal State Fullerton. I know you have hot takes on this game that I don't really care that much about, to be honest. I think it's too high. I like the beach. I'm a beach boy.
I'm leaning towards the beach. I don't think they've played for a while, and I could be wrong. That's kind of
they've had 2 straight games canceled, I think, but neither were their fault.
They had already traveled. They were like at the arena or in town, and they're like, "Yep, go home."
Yeah, small lean to the beach. Small lean to the beach. I don't know where Fullerton and the beach stand in terms of distance. California's a big state, but I assume they're not super far away.
I think on 2 hours maybe with traffic. Let's get some LA geo experts in the chat mob to Google map that. But in the meantime, let's go back to the outline.
All right, let's talk Florida State at Wake Forest. Preseason, Jim, I think we would say there's no way Wake would be favored in this game, but they've been playing pretty well, and Florida State struggled. They survived NC State. They have no wins against the top 100 team. Is this Wake's chance to get their first ACC win of the season?
Second, right? They demolished Virginia Tech.
Excuse me. Second win.
But yeah, I it's a good spot for Wake. I kind of think Florida State's sneaky, not very good. I'm not going to call them like fraudy, but I mean, I guess that's not really creative to say about any ACC team that's not Duke. Like none of them are that good. But this isn't the Florida State teams of old. They don't have the dynamic professional talent on the perimeter that they've had in the past. They got a really nice Cameron Fletcher game last game, Kai. The Kentucky transfer had his career high at NC State. So maybe him emerging gives them a little more of that switchability, lineup versatility. But I kind of lean towards the Deacons back home on that beautiful parquet floor, Matthew.
Yeah, I actually lean the Noles. I know Kai's going to have a stronger take here than I will, but just thought they came out pretty impressive against NC State off the pause. Hamilton really, it's kind of like how Travis Ford did with SLU. He sort of fooled me into thinking they'd be in shambles coming out of the pause, but they look pretty sharp. Worry about the matchup, I think. I don't know if I think Wake sees their length and speed negated by the Noles here, Kai.
Yeah. Wake has plenty of size to combat the trees for Florida State. Williams is a long wing. Laravia doesn't really matter. He's just a stud. I love that guy. They need to take care of the ball. Florida State, obviously tons of length, and that could probably give them some issues. But I am leaning towards Florida State here. It is Wake's first ACC home game. That's a point in Wake's favor for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Florida State starts getting it right in ACC play. It was a young team, not very continuous. Not a lot of players back from last year.
Nudie.
At least guys that scored a lot or produced a lot for them. They needed time to get going. I love Leonard Hamilton still as a coach. So I'm leaning towards Florida State here. Next game on the outline, back to the Big 12. Oklahoma is at Baylor, Matt. OU probably not shorthanded again. Seems like the players that are missing last game against K-State will be back. Matt, Baylor is 6-2 against the spread at home, a +7 cover margin, and it's Oklahoma's second true road game of the season, though they did win at UCF, which is looking better and better and better. Who do you like in this game?
I like Baylor. I think it's a little cheap. I think the spread should be a little bit higher. I'm not super excited to fade Porter Moser, especially, like I said, early conference game. These large dogs that we saw last night, we saw over the weekend, they have played pretty well. I think Moser can devise a game plan to slow down the Bears, but they've been running more this season, Jim. That's my concern, is if they played like they have in the non-conference, I worry this pace gets a little too fast and OU just can't keep up with Baylor. But we've seen at Loyola, Moser did like hey, we'll let the guys kind of run in non-conference, but then when it came to conference play, it was right back down to, gritty defense, execution, hyper, meticulous type of play. So that's my most interesting dynamic tonight here is how fast does OU want to play? Because this total's got bet up from 137 to 140. So some people think they're going to run.
Yeah, I mean, I think Moser's one of the biggest divides in terms of non-conference tempo versus conference. Like, he really slowed things down. Kind of think he does here too. You almost have to against Baylor. I know it's a different coach in charge of Oklahoma, but it feels a little similar to last year where I thought Baylor was going to run out Oklahoma, and they got up big a couple times, and Austin Reeves just kept coming.
Right. Okay.
And he had a game winner, I think, or maybe like a go-ahead 3 in the final minute that he missed, unfortunately. But I think that's kind of what we see here, Matt. This is your narrative. Those big dogs early in conference play. Even if Baylor makes a run or two, I think Oklahoma's going to keep punching. They're well coached. So I kind of lean towards Oklahoma with Tanner Groves in. Sounds like he is officially going to play. But if he happened to suddenly be out and not be in, then I would take Baylor. I think he's that important to the number.
I'm kind of leaning Baylor, guys. Turnovers, rebounding, scoring. These are all issues I think that are going to be present for Oklahoma in this game. It's deserved of a big spread, in my opinion. 12 seems enormous. Hey, we saw Wisconsin poo-poo that big spread yesterday. So maybe we were fools for not jumping on the Sooners double digits here in a conference game, but kind of leaning towards Baylor. Next game, 2 more on the rundown, then Chat Mob, then Best Bets. Providence at Marquette. Matt, we've been a show that tends to go towards Marquette at home as a dog here. They're 0-3 in the Big East. They need this win like blood. Cam Jones, who missed last game, should be back. I think he's very important. I'm not a big Stevie Mitchell guy, and Jones can actually score. The Friars have been unstoppable, and they're the talk of the town. So many Q1 wins. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, there's a guy out there watching the show, or maybe he's not watching the show, and he's making millions of dollars laughing, just cackling in this evil sort of everyone keeps fading Providence and I keep betting Providence. So I'm making all this money. I'm going to go against that guy tonight, and I'm sure he's going to keep laughing his way to the bank, but I am taking home Marquette. Providence, we have to respect them, but I just think they're a little bit overvalued right now, Jim. It's that simple.
Yeah, I do too, a little. And I do think this is a great spot for Marquette. It sounds like AJ Reeves is good to go. He didn't play a big minutes workload at DePaul, but he's practiced the last couple of days. This is, I mean, like the ultimate game for those people that were like, Ken Pom is stupid. How do they not have Providence higher? Well, you get to bet Providence as a pick against, or even a slight dog, I think.
Slight dog now, yeah, wow.
Yeah, against a team that is 0-3 in the Big East. So if you're a believer in your eye test and that Providence is amazing, then you're going to laugh your way to the bank here. But I do lean Marquette. I think they get this done in a desperate spot. They can turn Jared Bynum over a little bit with their defensive pressure, and that fuels their offense. So lean towards the Golden Eagles guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is the game Providence steps back a little bit. I've said that before, so this is foolish. But Marquette can match their physicality. That's kind of Ed Cooley's MO. It's physical teams, Nate Watson, play through them. I think Marquette can match that, especially at home. I've seen them do it. I'm staying away. I'm not actually betting on this game, thankfully. I'm tired of betting against one of these teams and on one of these teams. But I am leaning towards Marquette's way here. And lastly, Georgia Tech at Duke to Jim. Duke's a juggernaut. And I guess my better judgment, I'm kind of leaning towards Georgia Tech, 0-2 in the ACC. But Duke's a wrecking ball. I acknowledge this. Do you have any takes in this game? 18-ish spread.
Yeah, I lean towards the dog, but I'm not feeling tremendous about it. Matt did mention early on that they're coming off the COVID pause and have a lot of guys that had it.
Yep.
I kind of like Georgia Tech first half here. I think they can hang around a little bit. I mean, look what Virginia Tech did. They won the first half outright at Duke as like a 9-point underdog. I think Georgia Tech can hang around. I'm always scared, Matt, of that 2H turbo gear that Duke can hit. And yep. I think that's a possibility here, but maybe the first half, the tricky defenses, the lack of continuity off the pause, some disjointed attacks, lean towards the Yellow Jackets here.
Yeah, I mean, that spurred ability to take Eric Musselman's word for Duke against Virginia Tech was so impressive. Like, I thought Tech defended them really well. They got a ton of good execution plays, made shots, but Duke just continued to push and push and push and extend that lead. To keep Duke from scoring 100, you have to keep them in the half court. You have to make them make shots, and Tech did both very well and still couldn't cover. Georgia Tech has the zone. That's their neutralizing attempt. I just worry that the zone's going to be moot because they're going to give up the ball and just give it away willingly. 25, 30 turnovers is not out of the question against Duke's defense. Yeah, Ja Tech's offense, man, I am not a fan of. So I lean the dog, but gives me kind of makes you scared.
It's a hold your nose. Hope Duke's feeling COVID effects. Hope Passner gets the boys up, brings the face shield to play.
The face shield
they're fully healthy. They got Parham back. You know, maybe they can muck it up here enough to stay within the number. I am leaning towards Georgia Tech. He said final last words. That's it. Chat mob, round 2. Matthew, if you're still the czar.
I am. Let's see. A lot of questions. Let's go rapid fire here. We have three SEC right off the top. South Carolina, Auburn will host for that one. Wink, wink. Texas A&M, Georgia. Jim, how bad is Georgia?
Really bad. My number leans their way, and I refuse to take it.
Too.
They might just stink out loud. I mean, they got run off the floor by Gardner-Webb.
What even
embarrassed? So, yeah, I don't have any interest in getting on the Georgia train.
Tom Crean was emphatically excited that they're getting Jackson Eder back tonight. He's a toughness guy who starts. I forgot he existed. So, if you're betting Georgia, you're excited about things of that ilk. That just sort of contextualizes where that program is right now. Kai, Vandy, Arkansas. Is it time Arkansas turns it around, or is this kind of what is this the norm for the Pig Suey?
Assuming JD Note is in the lineup for Arkansas, I am leaning towards Pig Suey, the Hogs, taking this one. I don't think Vanderbilt's bad by any means, but I do think this is a good get-right game for Arkansas coming off the loss, hopefully with their full roster back intact.
Yeah, did take Arkansas small there, so I agree with you. Jim, Seton Hall, Butler now healthy, Seton Hall presumably not. I believe Willard already confirmed that Obiagu and Samuel will be out again tonight. It's a short spread, but I think Butler's due for a correction now if they're healthy.
Yeah, a big home spot for them. I mean, how much can Seton Hall really struggle without those two guys? They were actually pretty competitive against Providence on the road and home, or actually at
Nova,
against Nova as well. So, team quality definitely leaned towards Seton Hall, but maybe Butler starts to trend up. I'm circling the weekend spot for Seton Hall against UConn. That's where I think I want to get on board the pirate ship.
Kai, we glossed over a MAC game earlier. Toledo Faders Anonymous, everyone assemble here, going to Central Michigan. I guess I probably should go to Jim. I know he's a stronger take here, but just tell the folks why you shouldn't bet at CMU. Just let them know. I guess advise them.
Is he going to Jim?
The worst defense in the league against the best offense in the league.
Yeah, that's it.
That's kind of the main thing. Hey, I succeeded. I think you guys did too in fading Toledo with Kent State.
Yeah, Kent State. Yeah, we did.
Barely by the
downright.
Yeah, barely. But I kind of like Toledo in this one. I think they Central Michigan got the big win to start league play, and now they're going to sink back down to earth. And Toledo the rocket ship should take off.
I buy that narrative. A Tulsa, Memphis, another one a few people ask about, Kai. I think we can pretty much say Memphis is not back, but sort of they've found their level. They're cruising. Yeah. They've hit that cruising altitude. But this is a tough matchup here, going on the road to play Tulsa.
Road. They're home.
They are on the road, right? No, I'm sorry. They're at home. They're home. They're hosting. Still, it's a tough matchup playing Tulsa's zone. I believe Frank Haith took down Penny twice 2 years ago. Or last season. So I think tough matchup here.
It was like what kept them out of the NCAA tournament last year.
That's right, last year. And I guess Tulsa in that Voodoo Magic zone. Kai, I like Tulsa. Your thoughts?
Small lean towards Tulsa on the road. Love the under. That's my favorite bet in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can't run against Tulsa. Jim, speaking of low-scoring games, presumably, Clemson, Virginia. Kind of a weird spot here. Clemson has not played since they demolished Virginia. Now they get to play them again, this time at home. I like Virginia because I like pain and I'm a masochist. I will be on the Who's again.
Yeah, I can't quite get there. I just don't really trust Virginia at all this year. They did have a nice performance against Syracuse, but I'm worried that's going to be more of like a rope it up, get you back in, and then they let you down in this one. So staying away from this orange battle.
How about an ASUN tilt, Kai? Liberty Stetson, the Hatters, showed some fight lately. We know they have talent, returning talent. This feels like the biggest game of the year for them. I think it's hard to dispute that. You have the perennial conference title belt holder coming to your venue. Do you think they win? +7? Compete?
I don't think they win, but I do kind of lean their way. +7 at home. Nothing strong. Not playing this game, but that's my lean.
Roster issues both sides. Keegan McDowell missed last for Liberty, and Christian Jones missed last game for Stetson. Both are non-D1 games, so maybe they're back and they were just resting, but worth keeping an eye
on. Man, I love football, and acronym I will not say out loud. Jim is asking about
MILF.
Okay, God, so I know my mother's watching, so I can't be saying such things. Rutgers hosting Michigan. The RAC is a house of horrors for most Big Ten teams. Michigan, did they get right after the UCF stinker?
I kind of think they do. I don't love going against Rutgers at the RAC, but as Like Show pointed out in the chat, might not have the biggest crowd with Omicron going nuts. And honestly, I thought Michigan played pretty well at UCF, but UCF just didn't miss a 3. 8 for 8 in the second half, literally didn't miss a 3 in the second half. And that hurts quite a bit. So I think Michigan's closer to getting right than a lot of people think based off that result.
Yep. I'm still on the Michigan bandwagon in general. I know they've had their struggles, but I am not abandoning ship. I think that concludes questions. Jim, did I miss any? I'm sure I did. Are there any other games you want to discuss in general?
Don the Don asked about Holy Cross at Loyola, Maryland. So I'm going to direct that one to you, Mr. Patriot.
Is that me? I like Holy Cross. Kai? You're not on. I thought you were with me on that one.
I don't like Holy Cross.
Why is Loyola, Maryland laying 10 to anyone? That's kind of where I ended up on that one. They've been
good this
year. They actually have been much
Cam
more.
Spencer
they've been better
like
than I thought.
A god right now. Yeah, he's been playing very well.
Finally healthy.
Might not have Jalen Andrews for Loyola, Maryland. That matters. Holy Cross has been hideous, like very bad. So hard to back.
Should be a fun bet.
Potentially
should be a fun bet.
And then Kai, one that I know you both have an opinion on. Surprise, Matt missed this one from Austin Rayleigh. Central Arkansas at Eastern Kentucky. What do you got?
Leaning towards Central Arkansas. I'm kind of hoping some guys are out for EKU, but you never know. And even if they are, Central Arkansas plays super fast, and that is like the worst thing you can do against Eastern Kentucky. It could be a 40-point game. That could be that bad. But conference play, tend to think it might play a little closer. Smallest lean possible to the Bears.
This game's going to be nuts. Just like a back and forth, like a SWAC type game. Just random stuff's happening. Both teams pressing up and down.
I hope you're wrong, because I like the under.
Well, I think a lot of misses are coming too, Jim. So just a lot of up and down unproductive possessions, I think, for both teams.
All right. One did come in, Matt, Mr. Patriot, back to you from Tim K for Lafayette and American. I'll just say, I think you have no idea who's playing on either side.
Right.
American was missing 3 key guys last game. Lafayette's coming off a pause of their own. Good luck to you if you think you have a strong side here, because I don't know what to do.
I'd lean American, but yeah, this is like how can you bet either side confidently? If you do, you have innate knowledge far beyond my IQ level. That's all I'll say.
Oh, and for Lashana Crowell, Lipscomb, we like Lipscomb, but it has been bombed because Asajala is back and everybody knows it. So that's been bet up like 4 or 5 points.
Except odds makers to start.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, from 3.5 to 7 is a sizable move.
It is.
Oh, Kai, one more Patriot. Sorry,
let's do it.
your best bet. Yeah. Colgate and Lehigh from Ryan Abramowitz. What do you got?
I need Nelly Cummings to be in the game to bet Colgate. I'm not betting Lehigh no matter what. If Nelly Cummings is in, I'm leaning heavily towards Colgate.
Yep, I think that's the appropriate way to approach that game. All right, best bets, Matt. I think you gave yours away. Correct.
I did. I'm on Ohio. We don't give a damn about the whole state of Michigan because we're from Ohio, not from Ohio State, Kai. That's where I stand.
They're
Go
the
Bob Kittens.
They're the Bobcats. So you're going to give us a Bobcat? This is the best bit we have going.
Yeah.
My best bet, guys, I'm going to check the line. It was +10, still is. South Carolina, +10. Scary game. They're playing Auburn. I love Auburn so much, but slight sell high on Auburn, slight buy low on South Carolina. Matt's wearing his Cox hat. Love it. Should be all healthy. Should be a hype game at home. They're 4-2 against the spread at home. They beat UAB at home. That's a pretty good indication right there. Third road game for Auburn. Auburn is 0-2 against the spread on the road. The -4 cover margin. They snuck by South Florida. They snuck by SLU. I definitely am worried a little bit about South Carolina's half court scoring. So they need to get out in transition. They need to run. They need to try to score in that avenue, which is also scary for big blowout potential for Auburn. But South Carolina, Jim, my best bet is +10.
Yeah, that team healthy shouldn't be 10-point home dog. I don't think that's wild. And they should have Wilson, should have Kusnard, Reese, like all those guys sound like they're back. So, all right, my best bet. I had one given away already. That was the Illinois Minnesota under 140.5. And I'm also flying with the Air Force +19.5 at Colorado State. Shouldn't be affected by altitude since they play there themselves. A tricky zone that slows the game down. They're a feisty underdog. I think you get Octave and Mormon back from COVID pause. And speaking of that, Colorado State hasn't played in forever. So maybe they're a little disjointed too. So Air Force, feisty underdog +19.5. That is my other best bet. That's it, fellas.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jim.
I love
Thanks,
Kai's
Matt.
best bet. It should have been my best bet, but I'm still mad that he took it from me.
Well,
okay.
Knock on wood. That certainly
no
didn't
Cox,
jinx anything.
baby.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hey, we're back tomorrow. Same time, 12 Central. Again, please like and subscribe to the Field of 68 Best Bets channel. Thank you to BetRivers, our presenters. We'll see you next time. Good luck.